Well, I don't think anybody knows exactly what will happen. Let's say we take the next 6 or 8 months and we just leave, because you can't walk out in one day, just physically you can't. And say we're out of there in 8 months. We do not know exactly what would happen the year following that. One thing we do know is no more Americans would die, and that we would save a lot of money, and maybe there would be an incentive for the various factions in Iraq to come together and talk to each other. So people say, don't we have a moral responsibility to stay there, like forever, because we've messed it up? Now we have to protect these people from what we're doing. I think our presence there is the incitement for al-Qaeda and the incitement for the civil war and everything else. So I think my bet would be that things would get better, even though I wouldn't know exactly when that would happen. But I recall in the 60s all the predictions about we can't possibly leave Vietnam, because there would be the domino effect where the communists would take over and China would rule the whole Southeast. And yet the only thing that's happened in that area is that they have become more capitalistic. Not only Vietnam, trade with us and we visit with them and we invest in Vietnam, but the Chinese, looks like they're learning capitalism pretty well. They're our bankers, so I guess they know something about buying and selling and lending. So it never turned out like they predicted. And those who have these dire predictions of what will happen in Iraq are the ones that said it would be a cakewalk and that it wouldn't cost us anything. So why should their predictions be listened to? Why don't they go to those experts that claim that this would not go well? The generals that advised against it, there were some people in the State Department, there were some people in the CIA, and there were some people in the administration, in the finance area, that all said it was a dangerous thing to do. We should ask them what they think will happen if we leave, instead of just listening to those who proposed the war.
It seems also that the policy is the current policy is to arm the factions that are fighting in the civil war, the Iranian parties, and now arming the Sunni insurgency, rather than backing the nationalists who are trying to work things out.
Yeah, and I think the weapons are multiplying. They're coming from all areas, and we want to be in the arms trade. We're promising more and more weapons over there, not only to all the Arabs, but to Israel as well. And, you wonder about this whole idea. Could it be that the military-industrial complex has a voice in this? And obviously, I think they do, because whether we're in there fighting or repairing the weapons that we leave or arming more and more countries, there's only one group that's really making a lot of profits, and that's the war industry.
You mentioned earlier the possibility of war with Iran in terms of further economic consequences. It does seem that the accusations against that country are getting more and more serious. Is there some kind of congressional grapevine where you kind of get the background chatter, whether they really mean it this time? We've been kind of really worried about impending strikes against Iran, at a few different times over the past few years. Is this really it?
Well, we don't know. The people I've listened to that I consider experts claim that it'd be very difficult for them to believe it won't happen before Bush leaves. He may wait a little while longer toward the end, but he just does not believe. And I guess he has a conviction about this. He does not think he should leave unless he destroys these sites that he has conjured in his mind that are where they're going to build nuclear weapons. So I don't have any inside information, from the administration, but I just think from observing what they do and what they say and their beliefs that it still worries me a whole lot that something will happen, but I can't say that it's imminent. I think that something has to galvanize the American people in the support of it, and maybe they're waiting for some type of a major incident that they could blame on the Iranians. Every day you read stories about why the Iranians did this, and the Iranians sent the weapons in, the Iranians that are teaching this, and they have actually some people, and the Americans call them, they're foreigners coming into Iraq, like they have a dozen or so. So Yeah. I mean, I think they are interested in their neighbors. It's sort of like, what would we be doing if Russia was in Mexico? Do you think we'd have a legitimate interest in what was happening there? So it seems to me like some of this would be very legitimate. But anyway, I think it's going to be twisted. I think eventually it'll be turned around, and there will be an excuse. And tragically, I think the American people will see this as a reason to rally behind the president and even impose the draft, because there sure have been a lot more talk in Washington about the draft.
Wow. Well, so you mentioned before economic consequences. I wonder if I can get you to elaborate on what you think the economic consequences of war with Iran might be, and then I guess further consequences for our liberties here at home, including conscription.
Well, always when there's a war going on, it's the excuse to undermine our liberties here. And just look at what's happened since 9/11. The war on terrorism, the war in Iraq has been the excuse to really practically destroy our Fourth Amendment and our total privacy. A war with Iran is going to just keep that going and continue to undermine our freedoms here at home. But I think financially it's going to be devastating. It will cost a lot more money. I don't think anybody thinks they can invade Iran. We don't have the troops, and they'd have to draft another 1 million people to do it. They're running out of money. They'll run out of credit pretty soon. But I think the most significant event would be if we attack Iran, they're capable, according to some of my friends in the military and in the CIA, they're capable of literally blocking the escape route for our 160, if not 260, if you add the contractors, out of Iraq. They can't fly all of them out very quickly, and they can't come out. They could be boxed in the Persian Gulf, and then you're going to see oil not being $70. You know, we went over there to secure oil, and of course, oil's more than 2 times the price it was when we went in. So I think if that would happen, I think overnight you'd see oil not only 100, but probably in not too long it could go to easily to $200 a barrel, which finally would catch the attention of the American people. What's happening? I just hope and pray they come to the conclusion that a bad foreign policy has led us down this path, and that if we just wise up, we could change it all.
Well, so in terms of securing Middle Eastern oil, if we had a completely non-interventionist foreign policy and the U.S. Navy was not in the Persian Gulf, quote unquote, securing those shipments, if our government was not giving all these billions of dollars of weapons to the Saudis and so forth, well, would the price of oil be much higher? Do we need to have our government secure these oil flows for us?
I don't think so. I think the oil would come down, prices, because, you know, even if the Iranians ended up with more control, I mean, their main goal would be to sell their oil. So, and all of a sudden, Iraqi oil and Iranian oil would come onto the market in a much more plentiful state than it is today. So I think oil prices would come down if we walked away from there. Maybe not the first week or month, but I think that's the way to get the oil prices down, is for us to get out of there. This whole idea that we have to secure our natural resources is sort of like a mercantilistic approach to economics, that you have to have the natural resources because they'll never be bought on the market. But, you know, I don't think Japan sits around every single day and wonders where they're going to buy oil the next day. There's still a market out there. They probably go to Amsterdam and buy their oil from there. I mean, the oil gets up there. So the markets would handle this, and no matter how powerful they are, the market is even more powerful. Remember, in the 1980s, oil had gone up to 40, and then under Reagan there was some freeing up of the market, and people thought oil was going to 80. Well, it went down to $10, and OPEC used to meet every couple of weeks trying to drive the price up, but they couldn't do it. So even these cartels can't do it if the market is allowed to operate. And that's what would happen if we got out of there. The market would be much more operational, and I believe the oil prices would come down.